WNYC is supported by Pine Street School in Lower Manhattan, accepting students from nursery through 8th grade, offering immersive Spanish or Mandarin and a global IB curriculum. Learn more at pinestreetschool.com.
This is Michael Lowinger, co-host of On the Media. Did you know that you can live stream On the Media or explore archived episodes for free 24/7? Download or upgrade today at wnyc.org/app.
Spike Lee's latest film, Highest to Lowest, is an adaptation of a 1960s police procedural from Akira Kurosawa. On the next All of It, Spike Lee joins us. Plus, culture critic A.O. Scott talks about the legacy of The Great Gatsby. I'm Allison Stewart. Join us for All of It, weekdays at noon on WNYC.
You're listening to WNYC at 6:50. Marketplace Morning Report is next. And later on Morning Edition, as President Trump prepares to meet Russian President Vladimir Putin in Alaska tomorrow, the fighting in Ukraine carries on, with battles escalating on some fronts in recent days. We'll have the latest in about 15 minutes on Morning Edition from NPR and WNYC. 74 degrees as you start your Thursday morning. It'll be sunny today with a high around 87. Cloudy skies ahead tonight with a low around 73. Your Friday will be much like today with sunny skies and a high around 86.
Imagine using wood to rebuild after wildfire. Some are.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Schwab. Schwab offers investors choices like full-service wealth management, self-directed investing options, and trading on Thinkorswim. More at schwab.com.
I'm David Brancaccio in Los Angeles. First, New York's Attorney General is suing the company that runs the Zelle payment platform, alleging its customers were left open to fraudsters who stole millions. Nancy Marshall-Genzer reports.
New York Attorney General Letitia James sued Early Warning Services, the company that developed and operates Zelle. Early Warning Services is owned by some of the biggest banks in the country. James says Zelle was hastily launched to compete with other payment apps like PayPal and didn't have critical safety features. The Attorney General says Zelle had a simple registration process that didn't have important verification steps. James says scammers took advantage of that, accessing users' Zelle accounts and making unauthorized transfers or tricking consumers into sending money for non-existent goods or services. The Attorney General says scammers stole more than $1 billion from Zelle users from 2017 to 2023. In a statement to Reuters, Zelle says more than 99% of the transactions on its platform are now completed without reported fraud, calling the lawsuit a political stunt. I'm Nancy Marshall-Genzer for Marketplace.
Dow futures are unchanged. S&P and NASDAQ futures are down less than 0.1% now. Kodak is saying it is optimistic about the future, is not fixing to go out of business, and is not burning through cash. This after several media outlets noticed what the company calls a technical warning in an official Kodak filing raising the issue of going out of business. Kodak still makes film for the movie industry, has a chemical and commercial printing business, and gets mileage from its iconic brand. In this digital camera phone era, it has less than 5,000 employees, down from 145,000 in 1988. The cool kids have come back to analog using silver nitrate film cameras that once made Kodak so rich.
Programs for manufacturing, accounting, and more aim to provide building blocks for creating a custom software suite. Odoo, what businesses need. And by This Old House Radio Hour podcast, answering listeners' DIY and renovation questions and diving into home design trends, available in podcast apps.
For many people like me who lost a house in the California wildfires this year, the most pressing question is, do we have the money to rebuild? But today, a second key question: how to rebuild in an environmentally friendly way that might also stand up to the next fire. Some are thinking about plastic insulation sandwiched between concrete. Some like frames of steel. I've also been looking at, get this, wood, even after the fire in Altadena turned all the wood in my old stick and stud house into gray ash. That's me turning into a 4-year-old given a toy-sized 3D printed truck here at a University of Oregon lab. Architecture professor Mark Fretz shows me the real attraction, a stack of scale model wood panels on the truck ready for hoisting. I don't see any 2x4s. Where are your studs, my friend?
Yeah, no studs in this house. This is all a flat panel.
Scaled full size, the panels can be tipped up onto a foundation to make a house.
A house that's similar to an IKEA dresser that you can take apart and flat pack and bring home.
But not IKEA particle board. These panels can be made from what's called cross-laminated timber, CLT. Lots of small boards glued together in crisscross layers for strength. In places like Oregon, they see gold in this engineered spruce, pine, or fir.
To revive the timber economy is through the use of mass timber is exciting to everybody.
Judith Shine is Director of Design at the Tallwood Design Institute and a University of Oregon architecture professor.
There's the idea of sustainable forest management and carbon sequestration, which interests people.
Why would a person who just saw their house burn down want to rebuild with wood?
It would be reasonable to ask that question because it's been compared to building with kindling. It's a big, thick material. That does not burn easily.
Exposed to fire, mass timber turns black, and that sooty layer stops the fire from eating through the rest of the wood. CLT panels can be made from younger farmed trees or spindly ones culled from forests to lower the risk of wildfire and to allow the big trees to thrive. And remember, trees capture climate-altering carbon.
And if you can keep that carbon in a building material, you can sequester that carbon for hundreds of years.
A government study found a mass timber commercial building would have a nearly 70% smaller carbon footprint than an equivalent reinforced concrete one. So come for the fire and green benefits, but stay for the design if you like the look of natural wood over drywall.
It warms the space.
Maurice Romming with O'Neill Construction Group is an Oregon contractor who's worked with mass timber, including a piece of PDX, Portland's wood-forward airport terminal.
Especially on single-family, but also on multifamily homes. It's going to be mostly all prefabricated to engineer specifications, a lot quicker, easier.
That said, CLT panels are more expensive than studs and thin plywood. The hope is you save money on labor at the job site, where a single-family house can be boxed up in a week or so. Apartment complexes and commercial buildings made of mass timber are springing up across the country, up to 18 stories tall. But in the U.S., only about 100 single-family homes use the stuff. Steve Marshall runs the consultancy Mass Timber Strategy after a long career in the U.S. Forest Service. Old stick-and-frame habits die hard, he says, and you need smaller mills to customize the panels for the smaller jobs. He's now working on mass timber microfactories.
Buying blank panels from the large manufacturers and then providing them to these cutting centers where the unique cutting of the panels will be done for specific buildings. And a lot of that target will be multifamily, but it will include single-family homes as well.
I'll report more on what we decide to use for our rebuild. Cost is always a factor, and I appreciate that the most sustainable approach would be for us to turn our burned little plot of land in Altadena into a forever meadow and to move into an existing dwelling with maybe our kids. But our children don't have the room, and leaving the one real estate asset we own undeveloped seems like bad personal finance. In Los Angeles, I'm David Brancaccio, Marketplace Morning Report. From APM, American Public Media.